I'm very seriously wondering now if President Trump's Space Force was more of a reaction to a briefing that he got when he first came into office back in 2017. In today's video, I'd like to show you some more evidence that I dug up that what happened in Nashville was not what they're saying. That something very, very different occurred there. Many years ago, there was a series on called Stargate, and there were some spin-offs of it, Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Continuum. There were movies. The underlying subtext, though, of all of the series was that the program was going on with the vast majority of the population completely unaware. They were doing it in the series out of Cheyenne Mountain, but where they're doing it now might be on a global scale. In yesterday's video, we showed how this strange event in Nashville ties into different Pentagon locations around the globe. But one other aspect that I didn't cover completely that I'd like to expound on today was that strange blue flash that occurred right before the explosion. There was this weird blue light, and I'll show it here. I'll give you the link to this again. Right at the very moment before the explosion, there was this weird blue haze that appeared for just a flash, just an instant. And then there was this incredible explosion. Now, the pictures I'm showing here, it reminded me of something that happened in New York not too long ago. There was what they described as a transformer explosion that caused this huge blue haze over all of New York. And people were like, that's really, really odd. Transformers have exploded before. Why is it blue? Well, I did some research and did some looking, and it has to do with the temperature of the explosion and the oxidizer. It talks about when you send an incredible amount of energy through the atmosphere, that it starts to ignite things and excite different particles. Different types of particles give off different colors. Nitrogen gives off pink. Oxygen, described here, is a pale blue, almost a whitish blue. Argon is violet, and so on. And this comes from, I'm going to get this right, Associate Professor at the University of NSW. I'll have to look up what that is. School of Physics, Adam McCulloch. So this is not just any old person saying this. 500 degrees, you get Celsius, you get dull red. 700 degrees, you get bright orange. Go hotter, and at first you get yellowish, but then you get blue. So this was an incredibly, incredibly high-powered laser that caused this to ignite at that temperature. And more importantly, what it led me to was this chemical oxygen iodine laser, because like it said, oxygen burns blue, and coil chemical oxygen iodine laser is the laser that they use aboard the Boeing 747 YAL-1 airborne laser, and that's what I have brought up here. It's basically a large Boeing aircraft with a laser mounted on the nose. Now, I'm sure some of you are asking, wait a minute. If this was fired from an aircraft, why would our own aircraft be firing on Nashville? What would they be shooting at? Well, they might not have been shooting at Nashville. That might have been collateral damage. Because I was reading about this airborne laser, and there's something that they say, and I'll give you this image as well, about one of the problems with these lasers is targeting. And down here, it's all the way down in the lower right here. It talks about the drawbacks of this laser, something called jitter. Exhaust from the chemical lasers and the plane contributes to what they call jitter, vibrations that can throw the aim of the laser off. This asset, this YAL-1, has the ability to respond to multiple attacks at the same time. So let me propose a theory. Christmas Day, some enemy, unknown, decides to launch attacks on the United States. We have assets in the air, and they interdict a lot of them. But nothing is perfect. And they miss with one of these lasers that's perhaps near the horizon, and it comes in and it hits that point in Nashville. Now, I know that's got some holes in it, but I don't think we can really honestly believe that what we saw was simply just an RV and somebody who was disgruntled. There's just no way. I'm not going to believe that. Because we can see right here, and we showed this yesterday in these images, that something came out of the sky. Something came out of the sky. This is a screenshot from Dabu777. He did a really good job of digging this up. This is the inverted image. This is the actual image right here. You can kind of see it. It's not as easy to see right here, but clearly something came in. Something came in and hit from the sky that location. Now here's the part that's going to blow your mind. There's a Twitch streamer on the other side of the globe that picked up something accidentally. He had his stream going. You can see him sitting here at the left. Let me see if I can zoom this a little more. But out his window, there was what was described as a shooting star. Now, the name of the streamer, the stream channel, is, I want to get this right, ALCANCAR. Or no, pardon me, LECANCAR. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lacankar? Perhaps. But if you look at the streak that was accidentally caught out of his window, it has a faint blue hue to it. It was supposedly just a shooting star, but given that it happened on Christmas night, Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, I'm not exactly sure when the stream was happening, but it was dark where he was. This seems like a little bit too much of a coincidence. And I'm wondering now, because our country is in a state of changeover, so to speak, of leadership, or at least you can admit that we're in a state of upheaval, if you don't believe we're in a state of changeover, that this might have been seen as a good opportunity to maybe hit a soft target like Nashville. We had talked about, well, this was another reason too, how this ZME, this Memphis region, was blind for an hour at high altitude, especially over Nashville, because of this event. So I'm wondering if there was perhaps some type of an exchange of fire, and that this is what we might have been really seeing. That maybe we stopped something that would have been much worse, but in the process, perhaps caused some collateral damage that, I'm just spitballing this out here at this point, guys. This is early stage investigation stuff, but we do know the blue flash was strange. We do know something was brought down out of the atmosphere onto that location. And we do have an event like this before, where the skies glowed blue. And we have the information from the physics professor talking about this, that oxygen burns blue, and chemical oxygen lasers are used aboard these very large aircraft. And it's part of defense. They've had this for quite some time. None of this is actual speculation. What happened over Nashville We're only 2-3 days out at this point, but we have to maintain ourselves in an open-minded state about it. And the fact that we even have a Space Force is curious. It's very, very curious. What would be its mission, as opposed to that of NASA or the Air Force or both? And why would we need it? I brought this image up because maybe this might have been more evidence of that war. Because, of course, what we're talking about here is that loss of the 3 very high-ranking Air Force assets over McMinnville. And you can take the location of the explosion, and we covered this in yesterday's video, and take a line directly over the 117th Air Intelligence Squadron at Berry Field, Nashville International Airport. It goes right through nearly the crash location of this, and if you keep going, it goes through a Pentagon location on Guadeloupe Island in the Caribbean, and then continues down to Alcantara Missile Base, a place that apparently the U.S. is leasing from the Brazilians. For what purpose, we don't know. So, I just wanted to keep everybody updated as to where I'm at as far as looking at this kind of stuff. In fact, that red line is right here, the one that I just described. And we've shown all sorts of other locations around the world. There's one in the Yucatan, this one here in Brazil, and this is a very obscure location in Brazil for there to be this. Some had made mention that they don't believe what is down here is actually Pentagon shaped or the shape of our Pentagon. Let me relieve you of that notion real quick. I turned off all of my lines so that you could see what's actually in the forest. And you can go here. I've given this location coordinate multiple times, and you can measure this out. Measure this out right here, and then go measure the interior courtyard of our Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and tell me if you don't see the correlation. Now, what all that means, more investigation is necessary, but we're going to keep an eye on this. I'm sure nobody really knows about this. And also to show something else, it's not like this has always been here. Let me see if I can go back to when it wasn't. This is 2005, same location. 2014, same location. 16, same location. 17, 18, June of 2018, September 2018, June 2019. So this didn't just appear naturally. Somebody created this, and somebody created it for a very specific purpose. We don't know yet what, but we're definitely not going to ignore it. And I guess I will leave it there. God bless. Happy weekend. Like, share, subscribe.